I mean, look, the bottom line is when you're dealing with somebody in her situation where she has an incredible incentive to try to curry favor with Todd Blanche and with the government right now. Her attorney has floated ideas of a pardon or a commutation, which I don't think is going to happen. But there is a tool that would allow for a reduction of sentence called Rule 35, where if the prosecution and the judge are in agreement, they could reduce her sentence. So that's what she's angling for. And look, I used to do a lot of interviews of pretty tough people, pretty sociopathic people. And and I'm sure Todd knows this, you have to corroborate the living heck out of them because they're basically, it's like wrestling with a snake. You never know when they're going to bite you with some sort of falsehood. And she's got a track record. And remember, she's very sophisticated. Last point on that, she had about 3 or 4 passports with fake identities in her house when the police came knocking to arrest her. So she's not some poor little waif that just got swept up in Epstein world.
No.
She was a co-partner with him for this stuff.
Yeah, listen, she's already a convicted sex offender. She was indicted for perjury. She wants a pardon. She wants a sentence to be shortened. She's already gotten a lovely move to a much nicer prison in Texas from the minimum security prison she was in Florida. Mercedes, she sat down for these 9 hours with Todd Blanche from the DOJ. That in itself was very unusual. Todd Blanche is the #2 person at the DOJ. Normally it's the line prosecutors who do interviews like this. But what's interesting is that in these audio tapes and transcripts that the DOJ released today, Ghislaine Maxwell says she never saw either President Trump or former President Clinton either, ever do anything inappropriate. She says Trump was a gentleman, that she likes and admires him very much. And she says Clinton never, ever, ever went to Epstein's private island. So it's kind of like clearing both guys in a sense.
I'm in both of your camps. I have a credible suspicion about anything that Ghislaine Maxwell offers during these 9 hours because of all the issues we've already discussed. She is seeking that clemency. She's seeking commutation. She already has that transfer to that more luxurious prison. So I went back to the 900 pages that were released by Judge Loretta Preska in January 3rd of 2024. That's the treasure trove that was released by the judge, excluded some of the names. She gave some of the names of the victims were excluded. She gave the parties an opportunity to seek that relief from the judge. She abided by those requests. And they were consistent. They were in those court records. There was nothing to suggest that President Clinton was actually on the island, nothing to suggest that President Trump had done anything untoward. He was described in those court records that he was affable, that he was cordial, that he was gentlemanly-like. So because honestly, Elizabeth, I think we're all on the same page here. How could we possibly believe anything Ghislaine Maxwell has offered in those 9 hours? She's a convicted felon, convicted of trafficking underage girls. Full stop. Nothing else really matters here.
Yeah, Jim, listen, a cynic might say if she was really singing for her supper, so to speak, and giving President Trump everything she thinks he might want to hear, she would say something that would condemn former President Clinton, and she does not.
Well, but it's not like, President Trump's running against President Clinton in 2028. So, I think that's...
No, but in MAGA world, a large part of the reason why this has taken up such energy is because so many people believe that prominent Democrats, like former President Clinton, were part of some sort of nefarious activity involving Jeffrey Epstein.
Sure, I get it. And I'm not really defending President Clinton. There's all these stories about him being on flight manifest, for instance, which gets really intriguing compared to Miss Maxwell's story. But look, the problem I have is much broader, much more fundamental. We don't look at prosecutor files normally. What we do is we either have an indictment and a trial or a guilty plea, or we don't. And special counsel bent that kind of universe because they have an obligation to write a report. So all of us read through everything that's their evidence. But we don't really get into this world of looking at files because not just victims and witnesses and complainants and friends of Miss Maxwell's father get exposed, but people that don't get a chance to defend themselves ultimately. So it's kind of a combination of privacy and defamation. I hate the fact that all this stuff is going public to kind of satiate an insatiable appetite for the scurrilous.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.